Hello everyone and welcome back to the Neo4j series. In this video, we are going to focus on something equally important. So we have already seen about the connection and how we are creating the doing the crude operations. Now in this video, we will see how do we handle the data returned by the Neo4j in Python. So when we execute a cipher query from Python, Neo4j doesn't simply return a normal Python dictionary. So instead, the Neo4j Python driver returns objects which are called as records. So in this video, we are going to deep dive into what a Neo4j record is, how to access values from a record, how to convert a record into a Python dictionary, how to inspect the keys of a record, how to work with multiple records, how to retrieve the node properties, and we will also look into how we can retrieve the relationship properties if we are defining any kind of a relationship. And finally, we can see how to count and process the query results. So basically, we are dealing with how we can handle the results which is being given to us by the Neo4j. So at the same time, before doing that, it's important to create a kind of a small graph so that we have something meaningful data to on which we can do the query. So let's get started. So the first step here is which we are going to do here is to import the driver. So if you look at here, so this is the normal import statement which we are using. So this imports the graph database class from the Neo4j Python driver. So with this we use this to create our driver and the communication with the Neo4j database. So then after that, we have defined, if you look at this particular part of the code, we are defining the variables like a URI, which is basically telling us where our database is running. Then authorization or AUTH auth. This contains the username and password, which is used to authenticate with Neo4j. And then we have the database, which basically tells us the Neo4j name of the Neo4j database, which we are going to use. So after doing this, I have created a kind of a small method, which is the seed data. So inside this method, if you look at it, so the first part is the query. So here what we are trying to do here is I'm trying to create the person. I'm trying to create two-person here. You can see P1 and P2. I have created two-person, and both the persons have a name, age, and created on as the properties. And then once we create this, what we are doing, if you look at this particular line of code, this is the third create statement where we are trying to create the relationship between them, the relationship between the two persons which is being already created. So after executing this, just think is like we will have, let's say I created two-person, Saurav and Rahul. So it is going to show us Saurav knows Rahul. That kind of graph, simple graph will be created once we execute this part of code. Now, in the next line is like if you look at the if this is how we are doing the txt return. We are passing the query, we are passing the arguments, the exact value of the or the name of the person, age, which we are going to add, and then we are using the result dot single to get the single record. Okay, so after doing this, the next method which we have is the fetch people. So inside the fetch people, what we are doing is like our getting we are running the cipher query. This is the cipher query of us. So you can see here we have used match p colon person. So this finds all the nodes with the person label. So then we return p dot name as name, p dot age as age, and p dot created on as created on. So please remember these as statements. These are important because they determine the names of the fields in the returned records. So our results will have the keys, okay, as name, age, and created on, because that is being used as the alias. See here, name, age, and created on. And then finally we execute the result. Result is equal to tx dot run query. So this then sends the cipher query to the Neo4j. So this is an important point here. Please remember, when we execute result is equal to tx dot run query, Neo4j doesn't immediately gives us the Python list. Instead, the driver gives us a result object that represents the query result. We can then consume the result and obtain the individual records. So in our code, if you see the next line, which is record for records in result, so this creates a Python list containing the returned Neo4j records. So now we have something like people is equal to record 1, record 2, where each record represents one row returned by the cipher query. Okay, so this is how we create this is the difference between the what Neo4j is sending and how we are converting, how we are handling the results of the Neo4j. Basically, the results of the Neo4j coming from the Neo4j record is a kind of an object which is called as records. Now the next thing is here is like a similar way we have created the fetch relationship. Okay. Now we will go into the main function. So if you look at the main function, okay. So what's happening here is like the initial part. Okay, if with the graph database dot driver. So this is the same thing which we have already seen. So this part of code is basically setting up the connection. Okay, using the verify connectivity method. Then we have the driver dot session, so which is basically you calling the create method using the execute write, calling the seed data. So if we have already seen in the seed data we have three creator statements. We are first two creator statement is creating two people, two person, and then we are the third create statement is creating a relationship between the two person. Okay, so once we have created that thing, the next thing is here is like uh, uh, we have this kind of a loop. We are trying to get the we are trying to fetch the people. Okay, so how we are trying to fetch the people for record in people, and this is the statement. Okay, so for every record, we if you look at this part of code, for every record, okay, we are printing record brackets name, then record bracket age, and then record created on. So our output will be something like name Alice, age 25, created on the date. Okay, and then we are creating similarly for the second person also. So this is one of the most common ways you will work with the Neo4j query results in Python. Now, if you look at this particular part line of code, the print statement as dictionary dict record. So here it's talking about the Neo4j how this converts the Neo4j record into a normal Python dictionary. So for example, we have the name, we have the age, we have the created on, and name has a value Alice, age has a value 25, created on as this much. Okay, so this can be very useful when we want to pass Neo4j results to other Python code or libraries. Okay, so that's why we are creating our record into a kind of a dictionary. Okay, now if you look at this particular part of line of code, okay, so where we are using the record dot keys. So this shows the keys is basically showing the fields which are available in the record. So for our query, the result will be what are the fields which we are using, fields or the properties which are using, or the keys which we are using here is the name, age created on. And notice these names can come directly from the aliases which we have defined in our cipher return statement. If you go up and if you look at the fetch people, so here we have defined the return statement. So here we have the as name, as age, okay, as created on. So it is going to return this name, age, and created on as the keys value here when we are using the record.keys method. So yeah, so this is basically this connection between the cipher return clause and the Python record key is very much important, which you have to understand. Now let's query the result relationship. So if you look at this method where we have defined the fetch relationship, so here we have the person, okay, and it knows the person B, and then we are returning the A dot name as from person, B dot name as to person, R dot since as since. So this finds like person one knows person two and returns the source person, the destination person, and the and the relationship property since. Okay, so yeah, so in the Python we can access when we talk about from the Python perspective, we can access using this method, record from person, record to person, and record since, because these are the three properties which we are sending. So if you look at here, okay, so when we are trying to access the relationship record, so we are passing the from person, to person, and since. Okay, so the output will become something like Alice knows Bob since 2024. So this also demonstrates that Neo4j can return both the node properties and the relationship properties. So if you look at this particular part of code, so it is showing the node properties, the person node properties, and this part of code we are showing the printing the relationship node both relationship properties. We are printing the relationship properties. And if you look at the final query which we are using here in this part of code, so here it's a simple query where we are using the match p person return count p, as total people. So this query returns only one record because we are calculating a single account. Therefore, we use the single method. Then we have the result using summary total people. If you look at this part, summary total people, we have this summary total people. So the output will be always like total number of people is 2. It will be a single digit. Okay. So remember, if we want our output to contain multiple records, iterate through them. If you're expecting exactly one record, you know that let's say, for example, if you're talking about the count, if you're talking about count distinct, okay, so then it has a single value. So then single value is the most appropriate method to use that. Now, after doing this, what we have understood our code, what we are doing here, and now what I will do, I will try to run this particular code to give. Let me run this. Yeah, so you see here, so we have got the first we are let me go to the main function, okay, where we are defining it. So first the connection is successfully done. So if I go up, so connection is successfully done. Okay, connection is successfully done. Then we have the next method is called as the created nodes. So if you see here, it is created nodes. Okay, all the nodes which is being created. So what are the people records here? We have created two people, new people. Bruce, it is being added, and Peter is being added, and rest of the persons were already added beforehand. So now we have relationship records. Now, after doing this, then we have people records is being put, all the people records are there. Then we have the relationship records, which we wanted to print. If you look at here, record name, age, and created on. So if you see here, Alice knows Bob since 2024. Okay, see, record from person, knows, and since. Okay, so we are getting the relationship also here. Okay, and then we have the last query which is talking about the total count. So we have the total number of people as 7 here. So if you want to verify the results, you can go to your Neo4j browser and you can click on the nodes. So if you see here, there are relationship made between Bruce and Peter. This is what we created. This Bob and Alice was created before earlier when I was testing this query. And if you click at this person, so we have also Bruce and Peter, which is being added. Bruce and Peter is being added. See, Bruce and Peter, Peter and Bruce. If you click on them, then you will get all the values, 25, this, and you can verify the results. So yeah, so this was all about in this video. So what we learned about here is like the most important part was about the records. Uh, so um, so what is a Neo4j record? So Neo4j record basically represents one row of the data returned by the cipher query. And that row is represented by in a Python by a Neo4j record. So the record contains fields corresponding to the values which we have returned. So what we have, so this is all about this video. So we learned how to handle query results from Neo4j in Python. We learned that Neo4j returns record objects, and we saw how to access values using record key, convert records into a dictionary, inspect fields using record.keys, handle multiple records, use single when expecting our one record, read node properties, read relationship properties. So, so always remember that the main key concept here is that Cypher returns data, the Neo4j driver exposes records, okay, and Python processes these records. So once you understand this flow, working with Neo4j from Python becomes much easier. So in the next video, I will come up with some other topic on Neo4j. So thanks for watching this Neo4j series, and I will see you in the next video. If you have any questions, any query, please write it down in the comment section. Or if you want to, if you want to make me make a certain video on certain topic, please let me know in the comment section. And thanks for watching. And please do like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot.